yourself?
Yeah, I'm just going to use my phone.
Okay. Whenever you're ready.
Do I need to tell you, like, my name?
Yeah, so name, persuasive speech, public speaking.
Okay. I'm Corinne Hardy. This is public speaking, and this is my persuasive speech. Our great nation was founded on principles of liberty and government by consent of the governed. Indeed, our Declaration of Independence states, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles, and organizing its power in such form as to them that shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness." This quotation was taken from the U.S. government website, updated in 2015. And while there are a lot of things to unpack from this quotation, one of the most important things that we need to take from it is that we, as American citizens, have the right to change our government when it becomes ineffective or doesn't serve our rights. Hence our rich history of protests to effect change. This brings me to my problem. There is a complaint in our society that our Congress has become inefficient. I believe this is due to individuals in Congress becoming career politicians, neglecting the national agenda in favor of seeking re-election year after year. Therefore, I propose that term limits be implemented upon these members of Congress in order to create a more effective government. This is Senator Harry Reid, who's been serving in the Senate for 28 years, effectively qualifying him as a career politician. Authors Andrea Matosi and Antonio Merlot define career politicians in their article published in the National Bureau of Economic Research's website in 2015. As those individuals who work in the political sector until retirement. Harry Reid is a perfect example of this. However, he is nothing compared to Senator Robert Byrd, who holds the record for the longest senatorial term. He served from 1959 until 2010, a total of 51 years. Fun fact, in 1959 was the year that Hawaii and Alaska were officially recognized as United States states. And 2010 was the year of the Haitian earthquake, just to give some perspective on his timeline. Both of these facts were taken from Pearson Education's website, accessed in 2015. It is clear from these two politicians that career politicians are a very common occurrence in Congress. Article 1 of the Constitution, as outlined on the U.S. Government Archives website, defines the qualifications for becoming a member of Congress. It says that members of the House must be re-elected every 2 years and must have a minimum age of 25. Taking these two thoughts into consideration, along with an average retirement age of 65, that's a potential of serving in the House 40 years. Divide that by 2 for each election cycle, and that's 20 election cycles. As we can see in this chart, the re-election rate for the House is above 90%. Naturally, these individuals are concerned with being re-elected as they are up for re-election every 2 years, or 6 years for members of the Senate. This means that they pass pork barrel legislation to appease their district in order to get re-elected. Pork barrel legislation was best defined by the Wikipedia page, accessed in 2015, as the appropriation of government spending for localized projects secured solely or primarily to bring money to a representative's district. Focusing on re-election and passing pork barrel legislation, members of Congress neglect the national agenda, which leads to gridlock and government shutdowns. From an article taken from the White House website, published in 2013, it outlined 5 key effects of the 2013 government shutdown. It furloughed millions of federal employees. It cost the federal government billions of dollars. It negatively impacted the economy. It harmed those citizens who relied on key services that were halted by the shutdown, and it drove away potential new workforces. Therefore, this issue of government shutdowns is serious enough that we need to take into consideration a new way to elect or limit our Congress. In terms of the term limit debate, there's a counter that career politicians are experienced politicians. However, I would counter that experience does not trump effectiveness, and one should not forget these members' ability to pork barrel and neglect the national agenda. Therefore, I propose that term limits be implemented on Congress. As you can see in this chart, similar to the previous one, except it extends into 2012, the re-election rate for both the House and the Senate is above 90% as of 2012. Therefore, it is a serious consideration that the representatives only focus on being re-elected and appeasing their district and neglect our national agenda. Therefore, I propose 2 ways that we can pass congressional term limits. The first is by electing individuals who they themselves support term limits and therefore could pass a bill to be signed into law or to propose a constitutional amendment. The second way, as outlined in Article 5 of the United States Constitution, as defined by the U.S. government website, is to start grassroots movements in order to call a state convention to propose our own constitutional amendment. In summary, the problem with Congress today is career politicians solely seeking re-election and passing pork barrel legislation as opposed to passing legislation in support of our national agenda. Therefore, I propose that we, the people, support congressional term limits either through the signing of a bill or through a constitutional amendment. If congressional term limits are passed, I believe that there is a potential for a better Congress, a more effective Congress. Therefore, I encourage you to exercise your right to create a government that is effective for us.